Shabbat Shalom, energize, awaken, activate, all that stuff. Man, hold up. Don't tell Chef Candy I turned off the dryer again. Chef Candy keeps coming out here like, man, something wrong with the dryer. Every time you're out there dropping that drop, the dryer stops. I'm like, because I shut it off, but I forget to turn it back on to cover my tracks. So don't tell Chef Candy I'm the one jamming up her laundry game. Right. Check out Chef Candy, man. She's dropping all those hot recipes on Instagram at 432 to drop. Very proud of her. She's really taking it, you know what I'm saying, on a whole nother energetic path, man. And, you know, watch out for that. Her first drop, her first book, cookbook, Chef Candy's Electric Trinity Recipes for the Most High. All right, you got that alkaline, you got that Levitical law, all in her recipes. She's going to have beautiful, you know, pictures of her recipes mixed in with the recipe itself, as well as scripture. So she's going to attach some of that, you know what I'm saying, good Torah, you know what I mean, in there. And, you know, just really, you know, put her vibration in there with that, but mainly, you know, show her inspiration of how each one of these recipes is going back to the energy, back to the source. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's all about. So it's not about the perfect recipe or the perfect diet or the perfect this or the perfect that. You know what I'm saying? It's about sharing. It's about the information and perfecting, you know. Everything might not be perfect now, but we are perfecting it. So come along with us on this journey. Continue to surf the wave. Love to y'all. I want to drop this July roll call before this Independence Day stuff, even though this is going to probably drop after that. Anyway, you know what time it is, man. Normally I'll wait until later in the month, but there's so many great comments and great energy I want to share right now. But first, man, we got to take it back to, I mean, it's so, you know, it's writing all in this. This is how old this thing is. The history of the United States. Man, hold up. Let's get it again. From the discovery of America to the present time. Whose discovery are we talking about here? Alright. Again, this is just that drop. Deal with it. You know what I mean? Deal with it. The Aboriginal times. Remember the Aboriginal times. The Aboriginal times. They got maps letting you know, man. This is the Aboriginal map. The Indian nations in the New World. All right. This is what it's coming to. And Brother Lex can't, you know, you can't say no better than what Brother Lex has already kicked to you. You know what I'm saying? This hijack really happened in the 1800s. It's really that recent. Before that, they were still calling you your tribal names. You know what I'm saying? The hijack of not knowing who you are, thinking you came from another world. When all of your land, your blood, you've been fighting for this land ever since they invaded. Specifically, the 1800s is when they said, nope, Negro. Indian, Negro. And they tried to separate it, and they did the whole switch swap. You got all this stuff happening much recently to where you think your copper colored butt, the color of this book, is from somewhere else other than your energetic signature right here. You were made for this territory, this terrain. You take a polar bear outside of his terrain, he gonna go crazy. Alright, you have a terrain, you have a place, an energetic place in this land that's for you. Energetically, you're not meant to be living anywhere on this plane, the coldest or the super hot. You are the children of the creator of that which consciousness you exist in, and you can't escape it. So here's a map of Aboriginal America, the Indian nations. It says showing the distribution and territorial limits. So here's the territories they saw. Brother Lex was dropping about the Algonquins and how that's kind of telling you a lot, right? So all this is saying is the land of the Algonquins. Oh man, I just dropped my drop. Dropped my drop. All right, I gotta find it. Alright, that's the Algonquins. That's that Canada, right? So you got all that the same color. They push all these people out, right? The French came, put them on that little island Lex Will brought out. All this land. Quebec is huge, right? Alright, you can see these titles that they have here. More titles. But this is supposed to be their authentic Aboriginal map. Alright, so, here's their titles. Cold Yukon. So I'm just looking at this Alaska drop. Am I tripping? Or do they have Alaska way down here? You know everything's flipped, man. You know everything's flipped. Alright, I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But you got your Cuba. It's very interesting. Okay, so last time we dropped out of this book, page 44. I'll give it to you again so you can check out the first couple paragraphs, maybe the whole page. We're going to read this part now. And maybe we'll finish it out. And then we'll get to our July roll call. Giving my people some energy back. I get so much energy from you guys, and it means everything, man. Because when you are on this path, you think you alone. Real talk, you know what I'm saying? It has separated me from many that I've called, friends, or many that I've called families or associates. I mean, goodness gracious, if only you knew. I'm a wanted man when it comes to a lot of people that I will call home, right? So it all puts us in a situation where we need a new home. We need a new definition, we need a new perspective, something that we trust. These titles we don't trust. That's why I just call it Drop Nation. At least you know where that came from. It means you got the drop. It means you got the information. It means you got the knowledge, the power, the strength. Hey, the drop. All right. Shout out to my brother Keith Sarton. We're going to drop this joint that he did on one of our last radio shows on Live 365 again in a couple weeks. We're going to be coming back on Blog Talk just to get the drop out a lot faster. And Keith did a whole great breakdown in the Hebrew and the Paleo and all kinds of stuff. Of what's coming out of drop, D-R-O-P, and it's just dope. It's just dope what's coming out of it, man. So let's get it. I'm gonna get it again, page 44, and I'm gonna keep going this time. Again, love to everybody. Hope you're having a great time. I'm enjoying myself. It's all good. Just had some family over. Nothing like family, nothing like seeing the kids go crazy. You know what I'm saying? So good time, good time. Alright, this is beyond the Rocky Mountains, were the Indian nations of the plains, the great family of the Shoshones, the Salish, the Klamaths, the Californians. On the Pacific slope further southward dwelt in former times the famous races, in former times the famous races of Aztecs and Toltecs. These were the most civilized of the primitive Indian nations, but at the same time, and here's the hijack, but at the same time, the most feeble. The best builders in wood and stone, their building's amazing, but the least warlike of any of the Aborigines. I want to see this little punk go up to the Aztec warriors and call them the least warlike of all the Aborigines. I want to see this little piece of shit. I want to see him walk up, and I want to whisper in Chief such and such's ear and be like, look, man, you're the most feeble of all the Aboriginals. You guys are a bunch of bitches. I mean, ain't he calling them a bunch of bitches? He said, look, Chief, run your mouth. Chief, run your mouth. You guys are a bunch of bitches. Let this little lip come up and walk up on the Aztec warriors and call them feeble and weak. Do you think he would do it? Or is he just talking that shit? Do they never stop the talking of the shits? I don't even give a shit no more. Honestly, if I had a whole bag full of shits, I wouldn't give you one. Because I don't give a shit. People come on this channel And if, look, I admit, I'm going to get to the roll call. I want to apologize in case someone, sometimes, friendly fire. But I'm really protective of our family in the sense, we've been through a lot. We're all kind of fucked up a little bit. So if you come on this page and your objective is just to super duper argue and go back and forth, if you still, want to argue about the sun, the hijack, you still want to claim that this Greek sun is the same as your Hebrew sun, and therefore the sun's going to come save you, not the creator. You want to go back and forth. I've done this already, man. My people on Facebook know. I used to go back and forth for 3 or 4 days with people. They know. The recommendation's still there. Look for King Drop on Facebook. I ain't been there in months. Just like YouTube, eventually I won't be here. I'll only be at 432. And hopefully I'll, still have a few of y'all just chatting with me, man. Let me know you're alright while we make our transition. So, this ain't play. I don't come here to, this is a different platform. This is not an arguing, debating platform. This is a channel. So I have an itchy trigger about dropping people off as soon as I think you might be static, coming to cause static amongst people that are only, excited to have a theory and a hypothesis and not be judged while they go on a journey. And you say, you guys are all from Africa, you're all Hamites, what are you even thinking of? It's absurd. Everyone comes on this channel, they want to call us absurd for having a thought. Our black people want to come on this channel and call us absurd for thinking we're indigenous. It's absurd? Well, where did they get that from? Where did our people get this notion of it being absurd to call ourselves anything other than what they've been hijacked and brainwashed to call ourselves? Remember, if our black people say we come from Africa, and these white people say we come from Africa, are they not fully in agreement? If they both say, I love all my family, you got people, I ain't gonna call them names, but you got people that have been making documentaries to tell you that everyone they found here is just Canaanites and Hamites and this. And then, oh, look at the DNA. The DNA looks everyone. You think, hey, it's relying on DNA for you to know who you are today. He's relying on their databases, their laboratories of such and such to tell you who you are today. He's going to let his children wait all this time to fall back on the oppressor's information. But we got our people making documentaries saying you ain't who you are. So I tell you this. If your Israelite family is making documentaries telling you that you are Hamites or these people are just Canaanites and there's nothing important over here, who else is telling you that? At what point are you going to go against the grain? Y'all can't be walking together holding hands, man. You see someone holding... The enemy says we're on a spinning ball. I say we're not. The enemy says you're from Africa. I say you're indigenous. The enemy wants to hijack all your frequency with 440 hertz. I say wake up to vibration awareness. Wake up to 432 and vibrate with Haya above the firmament. The enemy says Israel's a myth. I say they've always called you a myth. But if you're a myth, if you're just a myth, then why would he say this? I mean, anybody that knows psychology might be able to decode what this author has put all this together to say this one thing. Again, the primitive inhabitants of the New World were the red men called Indians. Ruddy, red. The name Indian was conferred upon them, put upon them, forced on them, this name Indian, from their real or fancy resemblance to the people of India. Research the indigenous people of India. So their resemblance, meaning the copper colorness of them, made him call India. Other people say it's Indios. You know what I'm saying? It's all kind of different ways, right? But without any similarity, the name would have been the same, for Columbus and his followers believed they were only rediscovering. So here's the hijack. They just got lost in oopsie doopsies. What did Columbus say in the Biblioteca de Sevilla in Colombina? What is Hiram Art dropping on you? Subscribe to Hiram Art, man. What is he dropping on you? He's saying that Columbus is saying in his own writings, in the Vatican records, in the Biblioteca in Colombina de Sevilla, I came to America to seize Jerusalem, to recapture Mount Zion in America. Now we're going to get this drop. Now you're going to get this work. Check it, man. The supposed similarity between the two races, if limited to mere personal parents, had some foundation in fact, but in manners, customs, institutions, and characters, no two peoples could be more dissimilar than the Aboriginal Americans and the sleepy inhabitants of China and Japan. All right, he's trying to, he's attacking any connection with Asia. We're getting different information now. But check this out. The origin of North American Indians is involved in complete obscurity. I have no clue. It's completely obscure. That they are one of the older races of mankind cannot be doubted, that they're the oldest race of mankind. But how can we be the old? Are we older than Africa? Are we older than what you're calling the old world? Is that the new world, and is this the old world? Let's see. That they are the older races of mankind cannot be doubted, so they must be in, if they're the older race of mankind, this must be an older land, right? We'll get it. But at what date or by what route they came to Western continent is an unsolved problem. Date, times, migration patterns, we don't know. But let me tell you what I know, what I got to give you. Here's the disclaimer. I'm going to give you the babies. You're going to take them out the bathwater. But first, I'm going to give you this disclaimer in case anybody watching me. See, we Christians. We have to feel we were doing a good thing. Columbus, we've got to celebrate Columbus Day. We got to celebrate Independence Day. This British European stuff. We're owned by the London Company. How can you be a citizen of a corporation? But at what date? What date? I don't know. Or by what route? Well, how'd they get here? I don't know. They came to the Western continent is an unsolved problem. Many theories have been proposed to account for the red man's presence in the New World. This is the old world, but you'll see. He calls it the New World, then he's going to tell you the drop. Watch this. In the New World, but most of them have been vague and unsatisfactory. Again, many theories, not laws, but theories, have been proposed to account for the red man's presence in the New World, but most of them have been vague and unsatisfactory. Unsatisfactory meaning you can't be satisfied. Are you happy having an unsatisfactory diet? Will you not be pissed off because you hungry? So he told you all this stuff. He don't know anything about where you came from, what time, what day. He let you know clearly in part 1. He just started the book, man. He just started the book. So if anything, he knows you're going to pick up and read part 1. And what did he say in part 1? That he just got to drop right now, get out the way for these publishers, for the people that might have his ass if he tells the truth to you. The notion that the Indians are the descendants of the Israelites is absurd. Y'all remember that Martin episode when he was trying to get into Hollywood and he was talking about, you know what I'm saying, going to Tommy's house. You know, Tommy Davidson was doing his thing. Whatever Tommy Davis's name is, y'all know what I'm talking about. In that episode, he said, man, he finally got on the show, on Tommy Davidson's show, and reruns in the audience. He said, Tommy Davis said, rerun, what will happen if you come to my house? He said, I might get sprayed. That's what they're doing. They're just shooting down any thought, any notion that the indigenous Indians here are Israelites. They're just spraying it. It's just absurd. We looked up absurd a little bit. We didn't get deep. And like we could get into the etymology of it, but we looked it up a little bit and we understand they said it's wildly unthinkable. It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. Not even appropriate for you to discuss the notion that these are Israelites. Now, that's his one and only hijack. Does he go into proving it? Or did he just disprove and completely contradict himself by telling you one paragraph up that North American Indians is involved in complete obscurity? That means you got no understanding. That they are one of the older races of mankind cannot be doubted, but at what date or by what route they came to the Western continent is an unsolved problem. Then he says, but hey, here's what I know. That the red man's presence, all that is vague, unsatisfactory. But the notion, even the thought, man, is inappropriate that the Indians are descendants of the Israelites. It is absurd that these half civilized tribes wandering from beyond the Euphrates should reach North America surpasses human credulity. That Europeans or Africans or at some remote period crossed the Atlantic by voyaging from island to island seems altogether improbable. And he starts going into all this stuff that's improbable when he just damn told you that it's in complete obscurity. So I just wanted to get that for those that missed that part. Now we'll get back to page 44. So the Pacific slope, further southward dwelt in former times the famous races of Aztecs and Toltecs. These were the most civilized of primitive tribes, but at the same time, the most feeble. Again, the best builders in wood and stone, but the least warlike of any of the Aborigines. Such is a brief sketch of the distribution of the copper-colored race in the New World. Such is a brief sketch. We just are giving you a brief sketch of the copper-colored races, the copper-colored races of the New World or Old World. The territorial position of the various nations and tribes will be easily understood from an examination of the accompanying map. All right, and that's when we got into our territory map, where they're saying it should be easily understood from this map. Again, I give you a nice little side by side while I go like that. And down. Okay. And there's a PDF I'm going to get to in a second that a brother just dropped on me. I got a lot of people just dropping that drop, so I really love you and I appreciate you. I don't always get back to it. A lot of people, be like, man, break this down, and it's like, I'm on my own wave, so I can't drop my train of wave and go into something else sometimes. I try, but it's hard because I got a whole other thing I'm trying to get going. I understand. But at the same time, sometimes it's so timely, and I'll get maybe 1 out of 10 things somebody might send, and that one thing will lead into a whole other thing, and I'll get to the other stuff when I can, But I love y'all and I appreciate it. The Indians were strongly marked with national peculiarities. This is page 44 in the middle. The most striking characteristic of the race of these Indians, was a certain sense of personal independence. Stop. You want to talk about our character, and the first thing you're going to bring up is that we were personally independent. We enjoyed our freedom. You know how much of people gotta like their freedom? For the first time you bringing up the characteristics, you gotta mention the fact that they like their freedom. So how you doing, slaves? You feeling good today? You had fun at work? Being judged, paying your taxes? You feel good being in the second world, not being in your first world again? You having a good time? You had a birthday party? Celebrating? Life is good. It's all good. Everything's relative. Black man, black man. You got your seminars, or you got your debates. All these good things happening in this kingdom. What's the solution? Oh man, we'll talk about it. What's the solution? You have to wait and see. What's the solution? Get the fuck out the cities. Do you see this army? You think this is a play. You do the research and then you go back to sleep. That's really being ignorant. You don't have to wait for me. You ain't gonna wait for nobody. Pull your resources, pull your family, get your group, and figure the rest out. You can't be that spoiled. Waiting for the next drop ain't gonna get you there. The next drop is just for those that ain't got it yet. You know what I'm saying? If you got it already, I hope you're making plans. You know what I mean? I'll be grateful, man, if 10 people are free from what's about to go down. I would have done my job. I would be very grateful for that. And all I ask is that the Most High, you know, is happy to have that flock with him. You know what I'm saying? And that's that. Now check it out. The first characteristic he brings up about you is your personal independence. The Indians were strongly marked with national peculiarities. The most striking characteristic of the race was a certain sense of personal independence, willfulness of action, freedom from restraint. Freedom from restraint. Oh, come on, man. You got to have fun at some point. Here's the first thing I want to tell you about yourself. You enjoy your personal independence. You have willfulness of action, so you have a lot of will behind everything you do. You have will. What is will? That's that ruach, right? That's that energy. That's that spirit. I got to do this. I got to drop this drop. That's the will. A lot of us are re-energizing right now. We ain't felt this will in a long time. We've been going to work. We've been making money. But to have the will to say, yo, now I know what my purpose is. I mean, how can I go wrong with this? Of course it makes sense that the people at the bottom are actually at the top. Of course it makes sense that I've been lied to and everything's been flipped, flopped, flapjack, patty whack, give a dog a bone. Alright. So your personal independence, willfulness of action, action. What am I telling you? Go. What do you want to do? Pray. You want to wait and be saved. I ask you, what did your ancestors do? Did they kick back and just wait and be saved? Or did they get their ass on their feet and assemble themselves? So are you them? Are you some what? Watered down version of your ancestors? Or do you still got enough? Do you still got what it takes to make one more migration? Wait. You're a scholar. You want to do seminars. You've been researching migration patterns. And you ain't telling the people to do one more? Suddenly this whole migration logic is just absurd. Absurd. The notion that most of them have been, that the Indians are descendants of Israelites is absurd. Who thinks like that? Why ask this question? What do you mean the earth is not a ball of water spinning? That's absurd. No, it's absurd that you're on a ball of water spinning. But you have accepted it, hook, line, sinker. You had that globe in your classroom since you were 3 years old. Oh, please don't go against the globe that you've had in your classroom since you were 3 years old. Please don't question that. That would be absurd. You people are crazy. Or are we the only ones not crazy? While you watching TV? Or yelling at you to free yourself? I was going through, man, some ups and myers, man, a couple weeks ago. And I looked up at the sky and said, Most High, free me of this. And within myself, you know, I just hear, Son of David, free yourself. Son of David, free yourself. That's the action. The Indians were strongly marked with national peculiarities. The most striking characteristic of the race was a certain sense of personal independence, willfulness of action, freedom from restraint. To the red man's imagination, the idea of a civil authority which should subordinate his passions, curb his will, and thwart his purposes was intolerable. Let me look up intolerable since I had the gumption, you know what I'm saying, to look up whatever that other word was, you know what I'm talking about. I'm a little, get upset at this crap. It really pisses. I mean, it gotta piss you off. I'm not just dropping because I'm just enjoying this. You think I enjoy yelling? My throat hurts after this? You think I'm doing it because it's just my hobby? If I don't do this, I'm going to be destroyed. That's the flip. When you do have that energy, you can't do anything but be in order. I mean, so I go against it. So I do enjoy it. I enjoy being in order. I enjoy seeing you be in order. I enjoy seeing our people assemble themselves again, know who they are again. That's when we get peace. But you gotta wait for your creator. Intolerable. I mean, you know, we looked up absurd, right? Wildly unthinkable. So this is intolerable. Unbearable. Insufferable. Unsupportable. Unendurable. They can't endure it. All right, let's get it back. So this idea from these people that love their personal independence, willfulness of action, freedom from restraint, to the red man, you, ruddy man, all right, red ruddy man, in his imagination, the idea of a civil authority which should subordinate his passion, curb his will, and thwart his purposes was intolerable or unendurable. He could not endure someone saying that they are going to enslave him. That is why they had to murder 95% of you. And that's why their books are saying that the Negro was almost made extinct. The Indian was almost made extinct. The Negro was almost made extinct. You can't be from Africa if you're almost extinct. There must be multiple dark races. Then we can respect each other's differences inside and out. Our forefathers, inside and out. To the red man's imagination, the idea of civil authority which should subordinate his passions, curb his will, and thwart his purposes was intolerable. Among this people, no common enterprise was possible unless made so by a concurrence of free wills. Then they can have common empire. I'll read that again. Among this people, no common